Before this day begins, before the world asks anything of you, pause. This is not just another morning. This is a moment of alignment, a quiet crossing between who you have been and what is now ready to unfold through you. You did not find this message by accident. There is an intelligence guiding attention, timing, and awareness. And right now, it is guiding you inward. Because the greatest changes never begin on the outside. They begin when a decision is made silently within. As you listen, let go of effort. You are not here to force anything, fix anything, or chase anything. You are here to assume, to step into a state where what you desire is no longer distant, but already alive. This morning is receptive. This moment is powerful. And today, something extraordinary is already moving towards you. Every morning, before the world makes its demands, before circumstances present their stories, you quietly step into a state of being. Most people do this unconsciously. They wake up and immediately accept yesterday as truth, carrying old emotions, unfinished thoughts, and familiar expectations into a brand new day. But the day does not begin on the outside. It begins with the assumption you accept within. The first feeling you allow yourself to dwell in becomes the blueprint for everything that follows. If you wake up assuming pressure, delay, or struggle, life faithfully reflects that mood back to you. If you wake up assuming ease, support, and favorable outcomes, the same law responds with equal precision. The morning is not just a time of day. It is a gateway. And what you step through that gateway carrying internally determines what you meet externally. An assumption is not a wish or a hope. It is a quiet inner agreement. It is the subtle decision that says, this is how life is for me. Once that decision is made, the mind begins selecting, interpreting, and arranging experiences to confirm it. This is why two people can walk through the same day and have entirely different outcomes. They are not living in the same inner state. When you consciously choose your morning assumption, you are no longer reacting to life. You are directing it. You are deciding in advance how the day will feel, how events will flow, and how situations will resolve. This does not require effort or strain. In fact, the more relaxed the assumption, the more powerful it is. Life responds best to certainty, not force. Consider how different your day feels when you wake up with the inner knowing that things will work out. There is less resistance. Conversations feel smoother. Opportunities appear without being hunted. Even challenges lose their emotional charge because you are no longer meeting them from a state of fear or doubt. You are meeting them from stability. The mind may attempt to argue. It may remind you of unfinished problems or past disappointments. But the purpose of a morning assumption is not to analyze the past. It is to choose the present state you will occupy. The past only continues if you assume it must. The moment you assume something new, the past loosens its grip. A powerful morning assumption does not focus on specific events. It focuses on identity. Instead of thinking, I hope today goes well, you quietly accept, I am someone for whom days go well. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Life always rearranges itself to reflect who you believe yourself to be. As you move through the day, this assumption becomes self-confirming. You notice small confirmations, a moment of ease, an unexpected solution, a sense of calm where there was once tension. These are not random. They are echoes of the state you selected at the beginning of the day. Even if the outer world seems unchanged at first, remain loyal to your assumption. The unseen always moves before the seen. What you establish inwardly in the morning sets processes in motion that unfold throughout the day, often in ways you could not predict or plan. When you understand this, mornings become sacred. They are no longer rushed or automatic. They are intentional. You realize that you are not waking up into a day. The day is waking up into you. Choose wisely, choose gently, choose confidently, because the assumption you accept in the morning does not just influence the day, it becomes the day. Most people move through life believing they are trying to attract better circumstances, better relationships, better opportunities. They wait, they visualize, they hope, and they wonder why things seem slow to change. But life does not respond to wanting. It responds to being. What you experience on the outside is not something you pull toward yourself. It is something you are constantly expressing. The outer world functions as a mirror. It reflects back the state you consistently occupy within. This is why effort alone cannot produce lasting change. You can work hard, think positively for a moment, or repeat words without feeling and still see little movement. The mirror does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you assume yourself to be. When you understand that you reflect rather than attract, responsibility returns to its rightful place, not as blame, but as power. You no longer need to chase outcomes. You no longer need to convince the world to cooperate. You simply adjust the inner position you are standing in, and the reflection changes naturally. If you consistently experience resistance, delays, or disappointment, it is not because life is against you. It is because the inner state being reflected is one of struggle or uncertainty. The world is not judging that state. It is faithfully reproducing it. The moment you see this, frustration dissolves because you realize nothing is broken. Everything is working precisely as it should. Reflection is automatic. You do not have to monitor it. Just as a mirror cannot choose what it shows, life cannot choose what it reflects. When you internally accept yourself as supported, valued, and favored, experiences will begin to echo that acceptance back to you. People respond differently. Situations soften. Timing improves. Not because the world has changed its mind, but because you have changed your state. This also explains why trying to fix the outside often feels exhausting. You are working on the reflection instead of the source. You try to control conversations, outcomes, or reactions, but the inner assumption remains unchanged. The mirror adjusts only when the one standing before it adjusts. To reflect something new, you do not need to imagine every detail. You need to feel into a new identity. Ask yourself quietly, who would I be if this were already resolved? That feeling, calm, relief, confidence, is the state you begin reflecting. The world then rearranges itself to match it. The mind may resist this simplicity. It may say, but what about action? Action still happens, but it flows from the state you occupy. When you reflect confidence, your actions are confident. When you reflect certainty, your decisions are clear. Action becomes an extension of being, not a substitute for it. There is great freedom in this understanding. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for permission. You stop measuring progress by appearances alone. Instead, you focus inward, knowing that every sustained inner shift must produce an outer echo. As this awareness deepens, you become more selective about the states you entertain. You notice how quickly moods, assumptions, and inner conversations shape your experiences. And rather than fighting them, you gently guide them. You choose again. You are not here to attract a better life someday. You are here to reflect the state of fulfillment now, and the mirror of life will do the rest. One of the most subtle traps of the mind is the belief that you must see evidence before you can feel certain. You are taught, often unconsciously, to wait for signs, results, or confirmation before relaxing into confidence. But life does not operate this way. The order is always the same: decision first, proof later. When this order is reversed, movement slows and fulfillment feels distant. A decision is not a loud declaration. It is a quiet inner conclusion. It is the moment you stop asking if something will happen and internally accept that it is already settled. From that moment, your inner conversations change. Your reactions so your expectations shift. And without realizing it, you begin to move through life as someone who already knows the outcome. Waiting for proof keeps you anchored in uncertainty. It signals to life that the state is not yet accepted, and life responds faithfully by keeping it at a distance. This is not punishment or delay. It is precision. Life can only confirm what you've already agreed to internally. When you decide first, something powerful occurs. The nervous urgency to check, worry, or control begins to dissolve. You stop scanning your environment for reassurance. Instead, you carry in a knowing that does not need reinforcement. This state is calm, grounded, and magnetic. The mind may resist making a decision without evidence. It may say, be realistic or wait until you're sure. But certainty does not come from facts. It comes from assumption. Facts are reflections of past assumptions. To create something new, you must step beyond what is currently visible. This is why decisive inner acceptance feels uncomfortable at first. You are stepping out of alignment with appearances and into alignment with intention. Yet this discomfort is temporary. As soon as the decision stabilizes, the body relaxes. The inner tension fades. And life begins reorganizing to match the new conclusion. Proof does not rush in immediately, and it does not need to. The unseen always moves first. Conversations align, opportunities form, timing adjusts. Pieces begin to arrange themselves in ways you could not have logically planned. Then one day, almost casually, the proof appears, not as a miracle you strained for, but as a natural outcome. If you find yourself repeatedly checking for signs, gently return to the decision. Signs are echoes, not causes. The cause is always the inner agreement you made. Reaffirm it quietly, not with force, but with calm certainty. A true decision is final. It does not argue with doubt, it outgrows it. Doubt may still pass through the mind, but it no longer defines your state. You are not suppressing uncertainty. You are standing in something deeper. Living this way changes how you experience time. What once felt delayed no longer feels heavy. You trust the unfolding because you have already accepted the end. This trust is not passive. It is active alignment. When you understand that proof follows decision, you stop postponing peace. You stop living in suspense. You stop bargaining with life. Instead, you settle inwardly, and life mirrors that settlement outwardly. Decide first, let life catch up. Because once the decision is made, the outcome is no longer a question. It is simply a matter of appearance. Most people treat gratitude as a reaction, something you express after something good has happened. But true gratitude is far more powerful than that. It is not a response to events. It is a state of being. Gratitude is the inner feeling that nothing is missing, that the desire has already been fulfilled, that the matter is settled within. And because life mirrors inner states, this feeling of completion becomes the cause of visible results. When you feel gratitude before evidence appears, you are not pretending. You are occupying the emotional position of fulfillment. You are standing in the end of the experience rather than in the process of waiting. This is why gratitude is so effective. It leaves no room for doubt, effort, or struggle. You cannot be grateful and searching at the same time. The moment gratitude becomes natural, the inner tension around wanting dissolves. There is no urgency, no pressure, no constant mental checking. You are no longer asking, when will this happen? Because gratitude implies that it already has. This quiet implication speaks louder to life than words or affirmations ever could. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to sufficiency, not by force, but by recognition. You begin to notice harmony instead of resistance, flow instead of delay. And as your attention changes, your experience follows. What you acknowledge inwardly begins to multiply outwardly. This does not mean you must feel excited or overly positive. True gratitude is often calm and steady. It feels like relief. It feels like settling into something secure. It feels like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. This is the feeling life responds to most consistently. When gratitude is present, you stop trying to control how things happen. You trust the unfolding. You allow timing to work in your favor. This surrender is not weakness. It is alignment. It signals that you are no longer standing in opposition to your desire. If the mind brings up doubts or reminders of what is missing, gratitude gently redirects it. You do not argue with the thought. You simply return to the feeling of it is done. Over time, this feeling stabilizes, and the outer world begins to echo it back in subtle and then obvious ways. Gratitude also transforms identity. You no longer see yourself as someone hoping for change, but as someone who lives in completion. This shift affects how you speak, move, and respond. Others feel it. Situations respond to it. Life opens to it. It is important to understand that gratitude is not about ignoring challenges. It is about choosing the final state over temporary appearances. You acknowledge what is visible without granting it authority. Your inner state remains anchored in fulfillment. As gratitude deepens, manifestation becomes effortless. You are no longer trying to make something happen. You are allowing what has already been accepted to appear. This is why gratitude often produces results faster than effort. It removes resistance entirely. When you live in gratitude, you stop chasing outcomes and start receiving confirmations. Life meets you where you are, and where you are is complete. Gratitude is not the reward at the end of the journey. It is the doorway. Step into it, and the world will follow. Every inner shift begins with a decision, but it is persistence that allows that decision to take root and become visible. Many people assume once, feel hopeful for a moment, and then abandon the state when the outer world does not immediately reflect it. But life does not respond to fleeting moods. It responds to the state you consistently return to. Persistence is not forcing belief or suppressing doubt. It is a gentle loyalty to the assumption you have chosen, even when appearances suggest otherwise. You are not fighting the world. You are refusing to let temporary reflections redefine your inner position. This quiet steadiness is what produces results. The outer world is always slightly delayed. It reflects past assumptions, not present ones. This delay is not a flaw. It is the bridge between inner see, henge, and outer confirmation. If you understand this, you stop interpreting delay as failure. You recognize it as evidence that a shift has already occurred and is now unfolding. When you persist in assumption, your inner conversations change. You no longer react emotionally to every sign or lack of sign. You remain anchored. This anchoring creates coherence between thought, feeling, and expectation. And coherence is powerful. Doubt may still arise, but persistence means you do not give doubt a home. You notice it, and then you gently return to the assumption you have chosen. Over time, the assumption becomes natural. It stops feeling like something you are doing and starts feeling like who you are. This is the moment when manifestation becomes inevitable. Life cannot indefinitely contradict a stable inner state. The mirror must adjust. People respond differently. Circumstances shift. Opportunities appear. Often these changes feel ordinary when they happen. Not dramatic, but aligned. Persistence also protects you from emotional exhaustion. Instead of riding highs and lows, you remain centered. You stop measuring progress by the day or hour. You trust the process because you understand the law behind it. Many abandon their assumption at the most critical point, just before it hardens into fact. They look too soon. They check too often. And in doing so, they move back into uncertainty. Persistence means you stop checking and start knowing. This knowing is not loud. It does not need reassurance. It is calm, settled, and patient. And patience here is not waiting. It is confidence in inevitability. As persistence deepens, effort falls away. You no longer repeat affirmations to convince yourself. You simply return to the feeling of completion whenever your attention drifts. This return is enough. Eventually, the assumption becomes your default state. And when that happens, the outer world has no choice but to conform. What was once imagined becomes experienced. What was once assumed becomes seen. Persistence is the silent force behind every transformation. Not intensity, not struggle, but loyalty to the inner truth you have chosen. Remain faithful, remain calm, and let life reveal what has already been decided within. Now remain still for a moment. Notice how nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be proven. You have already chosen a new inner position, and that choice has set unseen forces into motion. From this state, life responds naturally. Doors open without struggle. Answers appear without searching. What once felt delayed now moves with ease. Carry this feeling with you as you move through the day. Let it inform your thoughts, your tone, your expectations. Not with tension, but with calm certainty. You do not need to watch the clock. You do not need to check for signs. The assumption has been made, and life has heard you. Today is aligned. Today is supported. And what you have quietly accepted within is now becoming visible without. It is done. Thank you for giving yourself these moments of stillness. Thank you for choosing awareness over worry. And thank you for beginning your day from a place of inner power. If this message resonated with you, carry it forward. Return to it whenever you need to realign. And remember, the state you occupy within is always creating the world you experience. Have a beautiful day.